What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of No Risk Strategy, the show that's guaranteed to help you get good at risk. I am Logan, aka Laser G, and let's do it. Our first episode comes courtesy of a legendary risk content creator. It is the one, the only, Hot Buns. I am very honored to get to review a creator that I really admire. Her editing style, just the overall vibes on her channel are immaculate. Go give her a follow, go give her a watch. Link is in the description. It's a great time. Highly recommend. In addition to being an amazing content creator, Hot Buns is also a fantastic risk player. And I really want to emphasize this point. Everyone makes mistakes, guys. Everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes in every single game that I play. And even Grandmasters are constantly trying to improve themselves and get better at the game. That's really what this video is about. It's going to be some advanced, high-level strategy. I might be right, I might be wrong. It's just one man's opinion. And I think this was a really fun game to analyze because I think Hot Buns could have won very fast. What do I mean by that? Well, in my opinion, every game of progressive risk has two phases. There is the early game and there's the late game. In the early game, it's all about positioning yourself to be strong in the late game. And that means preserving as many troops as you can, being as spread out as you can be, and potentially taking a bonus if you think it's positive expected value. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So how do you actually accomplish those things? How do you position yourself to get strong? Well, the most important step is you have to judge your opponents. Are they good or are they bad? Are they aggressive or are they passive? And what are they trying to accomplish, right? Are they trying to take a continent? Are they trying to consolidate their stacks? What are they trying to do? And with very rare exceptions, you want to get out of their way in the early game. And I would say that's especially important advice when you're playing with blizzards, because with blizzards, noobs just can't help themselves. When they see a continent like Europe here with two blizzards, they go all in like purple with a huge slam on turn one. So it's not surprising when you see noobs hit really big stacks like this on the first turn. So thinking about our positioning here as pink, as Hot Buns, I think we have a very clear turn personally. And this might be controversial. I know there was a lot of people who say never take a continent in progressive. I think you got to go all in on South America here because all the other continents are going to be dangerous. Yellow is going for North America, red is going for Africa, purple and green are positioned in Europe, right? And someone always takes Australia. So in my opinion, the only safe places on this entire board in the long term are going to be South America because you have a stack there and Asia because no one takes Asia. So this might be controversial advice, but I would actually act like a noob and go all in on the South America play and then consolidate my other troops in Asia if possible. That would be my game plan because I think otherwise we're just going to get slammed everywhere. Hot Buns absolutely had the right idea here to play a multi-positional game to try and preserve all of her troops around the board. But I think in this kind of environment where you see a lot of really big hits on the first turn, you know there are noobs and there are blizzards, I think you have to kind of join the party and take your continent and protect the stacks that you can. And you'll see in this series that I spend a lot of time talking about turn one, because in my opinion, turn one is the most important turn in terms of setting yourself up for the rest of the game. And I would have played this first turn pretty differently than Hot Buns. I would be sitting with an 11 stack in South America. I would not have taken my card there. I would just have a really scary stack in South America. And rather than adding anywhere else, I would try and get my card off of one of those North America positions, which is over 90% likely. And then I would give up on the Europe position because I would just assume that purple or green is going to hit it based on what they've done so far. And I don't think our Asia stack is in trouble, so I wouldn't add there at all. I would eventually just have two really big stacks, one in South America and one in Asia, both of them open to making kills. The other thing I would do differently is I would make alliances sooner. I've seen in a few of Hot Buns' video that she does use alliances, but she tends not to do it right away. I feel like there's a big advantage to asking for the alliance right away. In terms of people cooperating with you, in terms of being able to communicate with them, I think in this situation, we could have communicated a little bit better with Yellow and sort of done like a prisoner exchange kind of situation rather than having Yellow block your troops from getting into South America. I think you could have executed that maybe a little bit smoother had you made an earlier alliance. And likewise, I think with Green, there was a chance that Green would let out your stack from Europe. Not a great chance, but there was a chance, right? And so maybe if we had been allies with Yellow and Green, we could have salvaged some of these stacks that we end up losing. All right, skipping ahead to turn 2 here, and this is another turn that I think Hot Buns plays pretty well. I would have played it this way not that long ago, but I think in retrospect it was a little bit of a mistake to add all of our troops to Europe, and there's one reason why. Purple and green have proven themselves to be noobs who are willing to slam huge stacks in order to hold Europe. They really, really want Europe, and now we're sitting right in between them. And I think as a result, green adds to South America here, maybe to retaliate, right? And so I really don't like that play of kind of blocking in Europe. I think we should have given up on that stack on turn 1, and instead we keep adding to it. And I know it ends up being a little bit surprising that green slams into our Europe stack later in the game. I really don't think it should be that surprising, given that everything else they've done so far in the game has been positioning their entire stack to take Europe, right? And now we're sitting between them and that goal. So if I was pink, I would have played this differently. Let's actually replay it, and I'll show you what I mean. So in my alternate universe, remember that we have an 11 stack sitting in South America, but I think this play works even with our current arrangement. I would literally add everything to South America and take it right now. I know that seems crazy, but unless we take our continent immediately, it's not going to make any impact in the game. So I would take it right now and not guard in Venezuela at all because we're allies with yellow. I would give yellow a lot of hearts. If they break us, they break us. It is what it is. But I would guard completely in Brazil against orange, who we're not allies with. And I would also definitely ally up red, because as the red player, it makes a ton of sense, right? For them to hold Africa, we hold South America, we want to be cool. The other great thing is we would have removed green from South America, so they couldn't mess with us, right? They would just have one position in Europe. So I think that would be a lot better to have taken South America there and have a 1-point guard, basically. So skipping ahead a minute to red's turn here, we see red taking their Africa. Pretty good play from red, actually, in this situation, I think. And this changes our gameplay completely. No longer should we be thinking about taking South America, in my opinion, because we have to hit through 5 troops, and now there are 2 9s around us. So that stack is very, very much threatened, right? And it's also not open to the rest of the board. So we're being locked in South America. For that reason, I would no longer be adding to that stack. I don't think it gets hit, right? I don't think anyone comes in and hits our South America stack, but it's not very useful to us. It can't really do anything now, and it's not positive EV to take South America with so much of green there and such a high chance of being broken. So I actually would have done something very, very different on this turn, and I will show you what I mean. Okay, so back to turn 3 for red and then for you. And I know you're going to say hindsight is 2020. There's no way I would have done this without seeing what happened. I swear I would have added all of my troops to the 8 in Europe, and I would have hit not just the 1 of yellow, but also red's 3 in the Middle East, and I would have vacated Europe immediately. That would have a couple advantages. For one, there would be no chance that we lose that stack now, because we're not breaking red, so they're not going to retaliate and hit us, right? And it would let green do something dumb and take Europe potentially, and then that would trigger everyone to hit them, right? So we would start a war probably that wouldn't involve us. So I would have left Europe entirely, especially because green has 3 cards, and so green can set early here. And green's first in the trading sequence, so it's actually not that bad for them to set early. If green were to set early, what they do is even more likely, but you can see even without the set, they still end up hitting our stack in Europe. So I would have just hit the 3 of red and left. I know hitting a 3 isn't ideal, but we do have the attacker's advantage. There's a chance we wouldn't lose troops doing that. And even if we did, I really just like the idea of leaving Europe. I definitely wouldn't have added to South America anymore for the reasons that we talked about. The South America stack isn't doing anything for us. We need to consolidate our other positions and get ready to make kills because we're playing with a lot of noobs. Okay, so jumping ahead once again to red's turn, and we can see that a lot of shenanigans have happened on this board. Orange stupidly took Australia, and then already very weakened, purple decided it was time to take Europe, which is absolutely insane. Look at this Europe hold. I have never seen a crazier Europe hold. And now red is going to steal Australia back from orange, which is even crazier than orange's take, but not kill orange. So red leaves orange with 1 territory with 4 troops on it. So we've seen a lot of shenanigans, and boy, would it be nice to still have that stack that we lost in Europe in order to take advantage and make all of these kills, right? We do end up making a number of kills, and that's a huge credit to Hot Buns. But if we had still had that stack in Europe, we would have been in such good position to get even more kills than we end up getting. And again, this would have been another benefit of getting out of Europe and letting green take it. Green would have absolutely smashed purple to pieces, and then red would have broken green, just like they broke purple, right? So that war would have happened, and it would have been even bloodier. As is, right now, we've been fed a lot of kills. So very wisely, Hot Buns is going to take the green kill, which is going to set us in again. This is not a 100% kill, but it's pretty close, right? The one thing I would have done differently with this green kill is use the slider, because you can see with the 7, we just barely managed to hit those 3 ones of green. Had we used the slider, I think that goes from being about 95% likely to about 99% likely. It's annoying that you have to use the slider in the game, but it does really help when it's a close call like that. Now, this is very well done by Hot Buns here with the sequencing. She has 4 cards, so she decides to go for the 100% kill on orange first to set in again. Yeah, thinks about killing purple, but decides to go for the orange kill, which is very smart. So obviously this is going great. We're being fed a lot of kills by the Newbury, and Hot Buns has done a great job of taking advantage. But there's always room to improve, even on an amazing turn like this. One opportunity is Hot Buns is going to roll a 2v1 here, and whenever you're rolling a 2v1, you're better off manual rolling it if you have the time, and Hot Buns does have the time here. You can see she fails the Balance Blitz roll. Balance Blitz odds on that is 37%, versus the manual roll is 42%. It does make a difference in the long run. So you want to manual all of your 2v1s. But nonetheless, this was an amazing turn for Hot Buns. We just chained 3 kills together. It's still really, really early in the game, and we have almost won already. Now comes what I would argue is the most important decision in the game. Where do we put all of these reinforcements that we just got from setting in? And I think we need to put them in position to get the yellow kill on the next turn if yellow doesn't have a set. Red is very weak, and they only have 1 card, and they've proven themselves to be a noob, so I'm not worried about red at all right now. The only legitimate threat to us is yellow, because yellow has 3 cards. So we need to be fully focused on lining up to kill yellow. Instead, we end up breaking red here in Africa while leaving them with Australia. So this is going to piss off red. It's going to cause them to hit us and break us in South America. And I just don't think it was a great use of that turn, even though the rest of the turn was obviously fantastic in chaining so many kills. And to Hot Bun's credit, she does acknowledge that she probably should have been lining up on yellow here. So let's go ahead and replay the end of that turn real fast, and I will show you exactly what I would have done. Okay, so we're back at the end of the turn. We set in, we get 12 troops, and I'm adding them all to Irkutsk. We have a 3 in the east of Russia. I'm adding them all there. And then I'm fortifying my 11 from Ukraine all the way to Irkutsk as well. So we have 10 available troops in Ukraine. We fortify them to Irkutsk. That would leave us with a 25 stack that's in position to kill yellow on the next turn if they don't set. I think 100% that is the play here, right? Rather than breaking red, as we see. And I think if we're in position on yellow, even if they do set, nothing bad can really happen to us, right? Because we have all of our troops basically consolidated in one place that no one is going to be strong enough to hit. So it's going to put us in an amazing position. And you can see we actually do fortify a lot of troops to Irkutsk. So clearly Hot Buns knows that that's an important place to be. But I would rather just have a big 25 stack right there in position on yellow. And there's nothing that yellow can really do about that, right? Because she's close to us. That's another really important and underrated point, I think. When you're trying to kill someone, you don't want to position your stack next to their big stack. You don't want to be sort of at the head of their position. You want to be at the tail of their position, if that makes sense. You want to be where they have 1 troop, so that they can't really do anything about you. You're in position on them and they're not in position on you. That's the perfect place to be. And remember when I said there are 2 stages to every progressive game? This is the late stage. In the early stage, we are putting ourselves in position to be strong. In the late stage, we have 1 goal and 1 goal only, and that is to make profitable kills. That is always the rule of thumb here, right? And we can see that red has 1 card, yellow has 3 cards, hence we are going to be trying to kill yellow. It sounds simple, but it really is that simple in progressive. We got to be lining up on yellow here. Okay, on to your turn 5. And remember at the beginning when I said we could have won this game really, really fast? This is what I mean. Had we set in here, we would have had 15 troops from the set, plus 2 for the plus 2 bonus. So we would have had 69 troops. And our opponents combined only have 53. So we have an overwhelming advantage right now, and the same logic as before applies, except now it's flipped. we need to be lining up on red. We got to assume that yellow is going to have a set on 4 cards versus red is about to take their 3rd card. So now our entire focus has got to be lining up to kill red. In order to do that, I would set in, because I don't care that yellow is going to get 5 more troops from their set. Let's just set in for safety. That way we know we're not going to die. We have such a huge advantage. So we set in here, is what I would have done at least. We would set in, and then we would add enough troops to East Africa to make sure that we could knock out the 6 and the 2 of red. And then in Irkutsk, I would have hit that red 2 in Yakutsk. So Irkutsk to Yakutsk attack. And then I would have fortified everything else to the Middle East. That would have lined you up to kill red on the next turn 100%. And there would be nothing that red could do about it. Even though you'd already set in, red literally cannot do anything about that. There's nothing red could do to stop you from killing them on the next turn, even if they were to full suicide into you. It turns out yellow actually doesn't have a set on 4 here, and they end up doing your dirty work and hitting red. Yeah, it's kind of shocking, right? So they actually do your dirty work for you. But imagine if we had been lined up on red here. We definitely could have gotten this red kill. And then yellow would have been absolutely toast at that point, right? We would have killed red, we would set in, we would hit yellow as hard as we can, maybe even kill yellow and held the entire board. And I think this is a good time to repeat once again that Hot Buns had a great game, and this stuff is really hard to do in real time, right? But when we look back in retrospect, I think it's really important to look back, even when we win, to see, could we have won faster? Could we have been even better? And I think here you can see that Hot Buns has more troops than both of her opponents combined, but because she's been kind of hedging her bets and she's got stacks lined up on both yellow and red, she actually can't kill either of them. I think she's a little bit more than 50% likely on red, actually, if she played it right, but even still, it makes sense to not go for the red kill because potentially you feed yellow the game. But had she gone all in on either yellow or red, she would have had one of those kills by this point. And I think it's telling when you look at the board, we actually have 8 stacks that are bigger than a 1 on the board. You want to do everything in your power to make that 1 stack, right? 1 really big stack that no one can hit that's lined up on the right player. And you want to be careful when you make an attack that you're not splitting, you're not breaking a continent just to break a continent, right? The entire focus is lining up as many troops as you can on the right player. And I think here the right player was at first yellow and then it became red. And we kind of have stacks lined up on both of them. So we're not able to kill either of them, unfortunately. Okay, so I actually am going to show both of your opponent's turns here because they both do something really dumb. First of all, yellow essentially feeds you the red kill, assuming that red didn't have a set on 3. Yeah, this is just insane punching from yellow. No reason to do that at all. Wastes away all of their troops. So then you're like, okay, awesome, we have the red kill, this is great, but then unfortunately, red also has a set on 3, just like you, and I would say, unsurprisingly, they hit your stack, right, because it was near them and they were scared. That's classic noob behavior. That's why we talked about being at the tail end. But this is actually great for you. This puts you in an amazing position. So again, this stuff is really hard to figure out in real time, but that's why the whole early stage, late stage thing is so helpful. The late stage is all about making profitable kills, and yellow is a profitable kill here. So we need to go all in and kill yellow. We would have had 55 troops, 33 plus 22, on Yakutsk in Russia, and we could have easily killed yellow, and there was nothing that red could have done about that at all, right? There's literally nothing that red could have done. Maybe you were thinking that because the yellow kill wouldn't set you in, it was a bad kill, but there is a 0% chance that red can kill you, and then you would have set and killed them on the next turn. So absolutely, it was the right move to kill yellow there. Okay, so once again, I'm going to speed through your opponent's turns because neither of them does anything really important. Yellow actually helps you by eliminating some of red. And remember, we don't care about continents anymore at all, right? It's all about the sets and making kills. So we see red do nothing really, and it's back to you. And once again, we have more than enough troops to kill yellow very comfortably. The attacker has the advantage. You're lined up on them in 2 different places, so you absolutely have enough to kill them. With the Middle East stack, you could have gone directly into South America, and then your stack in Russia could have gone into North America, and you had plenty. It's easily a 100% kill. Not even 99%, it's 100% kill on yellow. And that would have set you in. So definitely would have killed yellow once again on that turn. And again, with this fortify into China, we're sort of hedging our bets, right? We have 1 stack that's in position to kill red and 1 stack that's in position to kill yellow. And the result is we're actually not in position on either of them, right? You don't have enough to knock out red in Africa, and you don't have enough to hit yellow anymore. So we really just want to go all in on the best kill rather than sort of hedging our bets and pissing off both of your opponents. And what ends up happening is yellow gets to set in and they kill red. So now this is kind of a disaster, right? Yellow's holding a lot of the board and they get the cards from Fortunately for us though, yellow plays this very, very badly and they end up locking a huge number of their troops in Australia, which gives us the opportunity to actually card block yellow, assuming they don't have a set on 4. We shouldn't assume they don't have a set on 4, right? Like probably they do. But if they don't, they're going to be in a really bad position. And again, guys, I definitely don't play this perfectly in my game, so this is with the benefit of hindsight. But rather than adding to your stack in China, I would have added entirely to the stack in Greenland, and I would have actually taken out everything of yellow because you would have had enough troops to hit them out of Kamchatka and Japan. So I would have taken them out everywhere and then just put a huge stack in Siam, right? Take them out everywhere, hit all of the yellow everywhere else on the board other than Australia, but don't open the 18. And then you stick all of your remaining troops in Siam, and they actually can't get a card if they don't have a set, right? So that would have been an amazing play in this exact situation because it turns out yellow doesn't have a set. But unfortunately, they're not card blocked. So they are going to get a card. And more than getting a card, yellow can actually go ahead and break you in Europe, Africa, and potentially in South America if they had played this correctly. Unfortunately, they end up playing it incorrectly again. What they're trying to do is connect their 18 back to North America for some reason, which they definitely don't need to do. So they prioritize that over breaking you. And actually, you almost had Europe, Africa, and South America here, which is crazy. I have no idea why they decided to do this. This was a really bad play from yellow. Priority number 1, guys, when you're playing in a 1v1 is you need to break as much as you can. Break all the continents. But yellow doesn't. Yellow leaves you with a lot. And then they're going to do something really dumb. So you'll see where this 18 goes. The 18 is now locked. So the 18 stack is not even open to you, which is just crazy sauce. And Hot Buns does a really smart thing here, which is not opening up the 18. Very clever to not open the 18. This is really frustrating. I've definitely done this whole thing with like rolling the 1 and not getting it. I kind of think you overthought that a little bit. Yeah, I don't really think there's a reason to do that. And you sort of backed off of that plan. But yeah, you were never really going to have enough troops here because you need to split in Japan. And actually, if yellow knew what they were doing, this would be game over because yellow would have their 18 stack open. They would set, get the 40. So they would have a 58, which is more troops than you have, to go sweep the rest of the board. And because the attacker has an advantage, they would have absolutely swept the board. So fortunately, yellow is not a great player, and we'll see what they do here. So yellow obviously does set in on 5, and they're going to hit you out of South America. And interestingly, this is 3 times sped up, and this is still slower than you need to move if you want to be a master at Risk. But okay, yellow's going to do some breaking, but they're not fast enough. And for whatever reason, they prioritize trying to take Europe over breaking you in Australia. So they leave you with a ton of stuff. Yeah, you get a 9 troop reinforcement, which is crazy for this situation. And then I think you played this very well, Hot Buns, in the way that you broke them in South America. I liked your pathing. The only thing there is when you don't have a lot of troops and you do have a lot of time, definitely slider. Definitely use the slider so you can take as much as you possibly can. And especially use the slider like we talked about on that 2v1 roll at the end. You'll win a lot more in the long run. So yellow sets in here. Bummer. But I will say I don't think it's devastating. One really important thing that Hot Buns has going for her is that she's fast, right? And in the 1v1, being much faster than your opponent gives you such a big advantage. You can see here, I'm actually not going to speed up yellow this time, just so you can see how unbelievably slow yellow is. You basically can't win 1v1s if you're that slow unless you have a ridiculous advantage. You can see here, yellow has like 70 troops plus more than Hot Buns, right? This should have been beyond over a long time ago. Yellow has a big advantage, but yellow is just too slow to take the board. And if you can't sweep the board, eventually your opponent is going to do that, right? Eventually the sets will be big enough where someone can sweep the board, and it just comes down to speed. So this is basically GG. Just the fact that yellow is this slow basically means you have the game in the bag. And not only is yellow slow, but yellow has also done this thing many times where they lock massive amounts of troops inside themselves. So look at their stack. They have 1 stack in North America that's locked at 20, and they have another huge stack in Asia that's locked. right? So a lot of really bad things that yellow is doing right now. This was really smart from Hot Buns. I love starting the sweep from Australia because that means you don't have to split your troops into Australia if you start from there. So that was really smart. The only downside of doing that is there's often an advantage in hitting your opponent's biggest stack first, but Hot Buns does something very, very smart here, which is she doesn't open either of yellow's stacks. Very good play. Very, very, very good play. That's super over now, right? Like she just completely turned the game around by doing that because there's nothing yellow can do at this point. Like yellow can't even break all of this stuff. And okay, lucky set on 3, so that's game. But I mean, this was a really, really impressive end of the game from Pink. I just think you could have won this game on like turn 5. I think you were so much better than your opponents, and if you had just gone all in on trying to murder them, it would have been over very fast because you're so much better than them. And just to prove how much better she is, Hot Buns is going to go ahead and show yellow how it's done, sweep the board with this big stack, and get the improbable come from behind victory. Very, very impressive. And thank you so much once again, Hot Buns, for volunteering to be my first guinea pig in whatever the hell this series is. I still don't even know. I have to say that I find you volunteering for this just so beyond sweet and generous, and more than that, just indicating such an incredible growth mindset that I really admire. So thank you so much once again. If you guys want me to review your Risk videos, go ahead and email them to me at lasergamerguy@gmail.com. That's lasergamerguy@gmail.com. Details in the description. Go ahead and throw this video a like, give me a subscribe if you enjoyed it. It took a lot of effort to put together. And let me know in the comments if you like the series, how you want me to change the series, and any other thoughts you have. I'm really excited to hear from you, and I will see you in the next one.